In the 13th century, northern Estonia belonged to Danish crown. Rakvere castle was one of the most important Danish strongholds in the east. For Novgorod, control of the trade route leading to Gulf of Finland was a matter of life and death. Western silver, weapons and cloth flowed through here, while Russians' furs flowed out. The growing Danish military presence in Estonia, with Rakvere at its main base, threatened Novgorod's monopoly and trade routes. The destruction of the fortress was intended to paralyze western expansion eastwards. The Principality of Pskov was constantly harassed by raids of Livonian order and the troops of Bishop of Dorpat. Prince Dovmont of Pskov needed a powerful strike to secure his borders. Interestingly, before setting out for Rakvere, the Novgorodians carried out a diplomatic mission. They sent envoys to Riga demanding a promise for the Livonian order that they would not support the Danes in the coming war. The order's master swore an oath to the cross to remain neutral. However, when the combined Russian army reached Rakvere, they found themselves awaited on the battlefield, shoulder to shoulder with the Danes, by the powerful forces supposedly be neutral, kings of the order. This betrayal further fueled the fury of the Russian coalition during the battle itself. The confrontation took place on Winter's Day, February 18th, 1268. The icy plain near the mighty Danish fortress Rakvere became the scene of one of the bloodiest clashes of the 13th century. Steam from the muzzles of thousands of war horses wafted into frosty air. Two powers faced each other. On the one side, the united Russian coalition, regiments from Novgorod, Pskov, Tver, and Vladimir, marched into battle led by, among others, the brilliant commander Prince Dovmont of Pskov and Prince Dmitry, son of the famous Alexander Nevsky. On the other side, a grim, steel-clad Western army awaits. Heavily armored knights of the Livonian Order and the troops of King of Denmark, and the forces of Bishop of Dorpat. The Livonian and Danish knights formed their armored wedge. The most heavy armed knights ride in the front, while the flanks and the rear are covered by lighter cavalry and infantry. They intended to launch a powerful attack, the kind that has successfully crushed the ranks of Lithuanians and Estonians. The Russians formed a broad front. The Novgorodians, the tough and unyielding core of the coalition, stand in the very center, directly in the path of the steel battering ram. The charge begins. The heavy Western cavalry gathers momentum. Hundreds of long lances descend. The thunderous impact of the armed wedge with the Novgorodian infantry echoes across the plain. The impact is so powerful that in a split second shields shatter, sending splinters and blood flying. At the heart of the battle, absolute hell broke loose. The snow quickly turned into red, splitty slush, drawing the fallen warriors. The battle unfolded in unimaginable chunks. Armor crawls under axe blows and sword searches chinks in the armor. The Novgorodians pay a terrible price of holding their ground. Their charismatic leader, Posadnik Mikhail, and many of their leading boyars perish in the slaughter. However, the Western knights also suffer losses. The Bishop of Dorpat, Alexander, commanding his troops, is dragged from his horse and killed instantly. The western wedge loses momentum. The Novgorodian lines hadn't broke as expected. The heavy snow makes the cavalry advance very difficult. The Prince Dimit drew his sword and led a flank charge of fresh reserves of Russian cavalry. With incredible force, he strikes the Danish troops, and Prince Dovmont of Pskov attacks from the other side. The Novgorod infantry bloodletting has not been in vain. The scales of victory quickly turn in the Russian favor, and the Teutonic Order's ranks are shattered. A chaotic retreat toward the Rakvere fortress began, which soon turns into panic flight. Russians' mounts race through the snow, and riders stab their enemies back with spears. As the sun sinks, it seems that a great victory for Russia is assured. However, this is not the end of the drama. As the Russian cavalry pursue the enemy far from the battlefield, a fresh, previously hidden Teutonic detachment unexpectedly attacks the resting Russian infantry. The Teutonic knights strike, and the defenseless Russian wagon strains, guarding only by small guard. The rear guard is massacred and the supplies are plundered. Prince Dimit, returning from the pursuit in the greater darkness, sees the burning wagons. He quickly forms his weary army for a renewal attack, but the thick night interrupts the fight. The surviving knights return with their loot into the darkness, avoiding a final clash. As the new day dawns, both opposite sides witness a gruesome landscape. The losses are enormous. The Russian army remains on the battlefield for another 3 days, searching for the bodies of their commanders and burying thousands of dead. Although the Battle of Rakvere was a tactical victory for Russian coalition, they withstood a powerful blow and managed to drive back the Teutonic Order. They lost a lot of precious veterans, and they were unable to continue this campaign and conquer Rakvere fortress.